Oh, what just happened? Yeah, technical difficulties since we're just getting back into this for the first time in nearly an entire season. So bear with us as we work out the kinks. Ryan is here. I'm here. We may have a few special guests popping in and out over the course of the next, I don't know, 60 to 90 minutes, give or take. Yeah, and hopefully the production value is where we've always kind of wanted it to be. But this is a triumphant return, uh, long awaited, never duplicated, return to your screen by myself, Ryan. We are the Loose Cannons. This is an Arsenal season review show and a little bit of a life update, perhaps, from both of us. Let's get into it straight away. How's it? Welcome back to the Loose Cannons, the triumphant return. Hannibal is at the gate. That is us. We are Hannibal. I'm BG. That's Ryan. You know who he is. How's it, my friend? We're back. Feels good.
It does. It's good to be back. Yeah, I mean, life happens. I don't know if you can see in the background, but life happens. I popped out a kid in the time we've been gone that long.
Easy. She's gonna smack you for saying that.
It's been
You
a
didn't
while.
pop out the kid.
Nah, it's true. Yeah, I had sex, so congrats to me. But yeah, no, it's.
Did she just giggle?
She's trying not to laugh. Yeah, this is what I get.
All I hear is Akon and the Lonely Island in the background.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm excited because.
Did you put a bag on your head?
Did I put a bag on my
No,
head?
did she put a bag on your head?
What was?
Did you cry the whole time? I'm quoting the song.
I don't know the song. Really?
Oh, it's tremendous.
Yeah, no, I don't know the song.
Congratulations, by the way, in kind of face to face, not necessarily in person, but congratulations. That's awesome. Hopefully, I get to see him backstage before we part ways today. So if he's sleeping, which I would imagine he's probably going to be here in a little bit, but nothing new on this front, man. Still 3 dogs, still dealing with new home ownership, which is fun to say the least. I've developed.
Have we done a show since you've owned a house? Yeah, maybe.
Oh yeah, we did a bunch of stuff over the summer. In fact, the last show we did was the Declan Rice red card against Brighton.
It's funny.
Yeah, so we actually got into the season with it, and then just between work and this thing taking over. Yeah, so it's been a while, is the long and the short of it. I see we've got a decent viewership going right now. So if you're out there, drop us a comment. Let us know who you are, where you are, and just say hello to us. So, but yeah, good stuff. Good to be back. It's just going to be a season review. In a couple of weeks, we're going to do a season awards show, player of the year. I guess we can't really do goal of the year unless we pick something different, because we all know what the goal of the year is. It's one of two, but maybe we'll do something a little. Excuse me, we'll do something a little different. But anyway, we'll hand out some individual awards here in a couple of weeks. Hopefully, we can do some transfer bit over the summer. I don't think we're going to get too much into transfers today. I'd prefer to just.
I don't. I mean,
yeah, maybe. I know you're not going to be able to help yourself.
Well, I mean, also breaking too. A couple minutes ago, Fabrizio Romano talked about us taking initial talks with Sesko. So
Okay.
That literally happened as we went live. So like, I'm sure, that might be talked about.
I just don't know how much I trust him anymore.
Really? I trust him.
I've like the "here we go" thing when he puts that out is one thing, but everything leading up to that, I'm like,
Well, he's the kind of guy. I think there's a lot of pundits that are like this, but like he's the kind of guy where he needs to. So people say no, like when they say like, oh, I guess it doesn't really. No news is good news, but he's got to like put something out every day, even if it's like the same thing as yesterday, just worded differently.
Yeah.
So it's like he'll update us on Sesko for like a week, but like nothing will change, but it'll seem like, oh my God, we're so close to signing him.
I will say though, like in this era, in this age of technology and social media that we live in, that's probably for him, because I don't know what his platform is other than this social media, be it X, be it Instagram, be it whatever else he has. I'm pretty sure he's got a YouTube channel. But like for him, if this is the only platform that he has, then yeah, that's how you generate the clicks, the views, the interactions, all of that. Yeah. That's how you do all of that. You've got to be putting something out there probably multiple times a day, even and the same thing. But like you take a guy like David Ornstein, who has the television platforms where he's he's guest on different on NBC's Premier League coverage. Don't talk to him, but he's also at the Athletic, so he has that platform. So he has those platforms where he doesn't really need to be tweeting out a bunch. Everything he tweets out typically goes to, there will be a link and it'll send you to an article that was written on the Athletic. So, but I don't know, man, I've heard so much about Romano, like you just said, kind of putting the same thing out there day after day.
And I think that's the difference. To me, I trust him almost equal. Nah, maybe not equally.
The "here we go" thing with him, I trust. That I trust. Like if he puts it out, "here we go," I'm like, okay, this is happening. Like the Zubimendi stuff is coming. That's going to happen.
Yeah, maybe.
But I just there's almost too much smoke for there to not be a fire. But the Sesko and Gyökeres stuff, I don't know, man.
So you don't
want we'll get into it, boy. We are
okay.
No, I don't know if we'll get into it today. We'll see.
Well, if we're not, let's just start right now, just because it's.
I'll say this. I feel like we could do an entire show.
We can, but like, tell me who you want, Gyökeres or Sesko.
This is going to be broken record stuff. All right. Who do I want of the two? I want Gyökeres, because I think if Sesko comes in, if Sesko's the guy, he's 20 years old. Is he ready for this spotlight? And does he make that much of a difference? I don't know that he's better than Kai Havertz in that role.
Gyökeres is.
What's that?
You think Gyökeres is?
I think he's better than Havertz, because I think Havertz is a bit of a Swiss Army knife in a couple of different positions. I think right now, as this team is set up, if we didn't sign a player all summer long, Kai Havertz is healthy going into the first game of the season. He's the number 9, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, people have been freaking out when Arteta came out with that the other day. I thought that was very bizarre.
What's that?
Arteta essentially said Kai is starting at 9 come first game of the season.
I mean,
why? What else is he gonna say? I mean, I guess he's
don't say anything.
But
that's insane.
But like, let's say this. Like, who is our? What's up, BX? I can't wait to. I guess for people who are listening, that I was listening. I do listen, but I was in the chat for Not Another Arsenal podcast. I mean, me and him are going at it playfully, of course, but so hopefully we'll be jabbing at each other tonight a little bit.
Stop! No, you stop!
Yeah. It's kind of how it is. See, BX, you already got me off my game, or you got me on my game of losing track of where I am, because I do that all the time. What were we talking about? Gyökeres, Sesko.
the Arteta comments that Kai's going to be the starting nine.
I mean, do we think we're going to sign a better striker than Gyökeres? I think Gyökeres is probably our best striker that we're going to sign. We're not bringing in Isak. So I mean, if Gyökeres is the best striker we could potentially sign this summer, do you think he should start week 1? I don't. I think Kai should start. I think it's a little bit of betting in. It's a little bit. I don't know. I mean, because let's face it, I don't really like this argument, and it's funny because I think it's more of Drew rubbing off on me. Wonderful friend of the podcast, who he has like a new podcast since we've done this. It's great. It's with John 305 Cast and Shams. I don't know.
Yeah.
Forgive me if I guess it's a great podcast. Everyone should check it out. It's awesome. Their last show they just did one with Elliot from Arse Vision. So great guys. I think everyone needs to check it out. But yeah, bringing the leagues into it and like how, does the Portuguese league, how does it equate to the English Premier League? I don't know, but I don't want to sign him and be like, oh, he's starting week 1, put all my chips in the bag, because what has Kai done so wrong to take him out? I know people think he's not it. He's not good. I personally, and I'm in that camp. I don't think should be in our starting 11 if we're winning big trophies, but I do. I'm not shocked by his comment that he's starting him, week 1. I think people need to like kind of get a hold of themselves, but just me.
For me, okay. If it's between one of those two, it's Gyökeres. I think Gyökeres is the more dynamic player of the two. Not to say that Sesko won't be, but I think Sesko, the potential. We need the one thing that I agree with a lot of people on, and people that I disagree with a lot in this sort of universe that you and I live in with doing things like this. The one thing that I agree with is no more potential buys. No more buying potential. We need to buy. The potential has arrived, and it has been met. It has been surpassed. That's the player that we need to be buying. Gyökeres, I didn't realize he's 27. Did not realize he was that old. I thought he was like 24. So he's 27. So when we think about Gyökeres coming in here, it really could be it could really be a buy now, win now, sell on in 4 years, 5 years, maybe, because that's when strikers tend to, kind of start to go downhill if they're not players named Messi, Ronaldo, Beckham, Henry, guys like, players of that ilk. So I don't know what Gyökeres is. Sesko would be, look, I'll throw this out there, not to kind of get away from my own topic here. There is a rumor out there that we're doing both.
No.
I mean, between the two, again, according to rumors, reports, the money's there. Buying the two of them would not cost what it would have cost to get Isak out of Newcastle had they not qualified for Champions League.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
So there is a. I'll tell you this: if it's Zubimendi and those two, we're still under 200 million pounds in buys for the summer. Given the price tags, it's close. But given the price tags that I've seen, again, rumor, we'd still be under 200. I want the proven commodity, not because you bring Sesko in, he's 20 years old, and that potential never gets reached. He can't overtake Kai as the number one guy in that role. Whereas I feel like Gyökeres comes in, now it's a competition. We're going to see who's the better player, or who's the better striker, because I think Kai has value in other areas, whereas Gyökeres really is a number 9 or a left winger, period. And a lot of the things that I've seen Gyökeres do, he's coming in from the left. But what we need, jump in here when I'm done and tell me if I'm wrong. what this team is desperately crying out for is a player that can put the ball on his foot and do otherworldly things. That's what this team needs. It doesn't need another run-of-the-mill number 9 because that player is going to do the same things that Kai Havertz does. Maybe he finishes 50% more of the chances that Kai Havertz misses. So how many more goals would that be? How many chances does Kai Havertz miss in a season right in front of goal? Let's call it 10. So if we bring in a guy that finishes half of those, it's 5 more goals. The other thing with all of this that I think a lot of people lose sight of is the system. And I've said this before. This is the broken record thing that I mentioned earlier. I don't know that the system allows for this kind of player to come in and make the kind of difference that we need it to make. It is a system that is designed to spread out 50 goals, 60 goals across 5 players. He wants to see Saka and Martinelli and Trossard and Havertz and Jesus. It's more than that. It's more than 5 or 6 because he wants Declan Rice to chip in with 10 and Martin Odegaard to chip in with 10. Saka, 20. Martinelli, 20. The number 9, whoever that might be it Havertz, whomever, I'll say 15 to 20 for the wingers and 15 to 20 for the number 9, as you and I have said, pinwheel of death, right? So those 3 players, the number 9 isn't the target man. He's just another player in that front 3 that Arteta wants to score goals. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking your ear off. Jump in.
No, yeah, it's I promise I wasn't laughing at you while you're talking. I was laughing because it just gave me another point, another something to say. Because like literally, I wanted to say one word and why you want to sign him, like a quick sentence. I didn't want it to be a conversation, but that's fine. We can have this conversation.
You said we're going to do it, so here we are.
Well, yeah. To me, you literally laid out the groundwork for us to sign Sesko. The only thing that says otherwise is you said we need a proven guy. Again, I'm sorry, Drew. Please, I'm so sorry. Forgive me. Do you consider the championship and the Portuguese league a proven thing? Like, I don't know. And not to say the Bundesliga is better than that. I'm not comparing things, but we don't know. We don't know if Gilchrist has arrived. If he was decent in the championship, you would think the Premier League is a step up from that. So I don't know. I don't think we could say with certainty that if we sign Gilchrist that he is going to win us trophies and be the starting number 9 and take off, leave where he took off, or whatever he did in Portugal. He's going to do the same thing.
Take off from where he left.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah,
I will.
I can't say that for sure. And I feel bad comparing leagues. I don't like doing it, but you can't. You have to do it. Like, it's not the same league. It just isn't.
But we play in the 2 best competitions in the world every year. The Premier League, and we qualify for one. The Premier League is far and away the best league in the world.
I think it has the most competitive teams in it. Do they have the best teams in it? I didn't
say the best teams, but top to bottom, it's the most competitive. It's the most competitive.
Yeah.
But I think if you take you take out the likes of Bayern Munich, PSG, 1 or 2 Italian, maybe Inter, maybe Napoli.
I think the Italian. It's funny you say that. I think the Italian league is getting more competitive, but I think it's also too.
They're competitive in their own right. But I'm saying if you move teams from the Premier League, and let's just say you take the middle 10 teams, and you split them up and you put them into the other.
I agree with what you're saying. I definitely think the Premier League.
The quality of the players, the talent of the players in the Premier League is better by and large than the bulk of the other domestic leagues in Europe.
Yeah.
So I would say we are in the 2 preeminent competitions in the world in the Premier League and the Champions League.
Yeah.
And I'll get into that in a little bit. But I agree. I don't like comparing league to league. this is the one thing that I'll say about Gyökeres that turns me on to him. Not only the age profile, and he's done it there. Excuse me, but it's been 3 years on the trot now for him, and his goal total has gone up. But the other big thing for me, Stan, thank you. Thanks for being here. Is the assists. So it's all in all the goal contributions from Gyökeres, because he's got that in his locker too. So that's why it's Gyökeres for me. And I just don't, where we are now is not, we can't buy potential. The potential has to have arrived, because if Sesko is the guy, then yes, Kai Havertz is the starting number 9 week 1. Match week 1, Kai Havertz is the starting number 9. I don't think Sesko supplants him in that role. Gyökeres comes in. At the very least, Gyökeres comes in. It's a conversation. I don't think that's a foregone conclusion. The other thing with Gyökeres too, go back to another point that I made, is if I think a lot of us, and I say us, meaning the Arsenal fan base that pay attention to know what they're talking about. Not you or I per se. I think there's a portion of the Arsenal fan base that have started to sour on Martinelli. It's like Martinelli.
Portion. I would say I would go as far. I would say majority, if not more.
Okay. Yeah, I won't argue that. I won't say that I've soured on him, but boy, if you can bring in a player that could play either one of those two roles equally as well, that's Gyökeres. Imagine it being Gyökeres, Saka, and Havertz, or if it's going to be Martinelli or Trossard on the left and Saka and Gyökeres. Yeah, I just, you and I, we've talked about it before. The thing that Arteta values probably above and beyond anything else is the versatility within his players. So I like it too. But I don't want a jack of all trades, master of none. I want a guy that can master 2 positions and maybe play a third or a fourth, be serviceable in a third or a fourth. So,
yeah. I guess I'll get to who I choose, because I really quick going to BX's comment about we're going to sign, or you even said it, we're going to sign both, and BX said we're going to try a striker quick and we're going to sign another one. Well, I think this goes back to my comment that Arteta made about Kai starting week 1. I think that tells you all you need to know. We're not signing 2 strikers. We're just signing 1. And I'm okay with that. If Arteta's committed to Kai playing 9, or, not 9 when we bring in a Sesko or a Gyökeres, then that's fine. Because I do think we have other players that can play through the middle. Again, we talk about Martinelli. He can play through the middle. Leo can play through the middle. Do they do it well? Do they do it well enough for us to win the Champions League, the Premier League? I don't think so, no. But again, it's just, a specialist. It's an option that we can have. But yeah, really quick, it's funny. All the points you made were points I was going to make about why I want Sesko over Gyökeres. And it's funny because I go back and forth. I went back and forth. Didn't know who I wanted. And then I want to say like 2 days ago. So whenever I texted Mike, if you're listening to this, whenever I texted you, that was the day I decided to plant my flag on the Gyökeres-Sesko debate. And I want Sesko because of the age profile. I don't necessarily agree that Gyökeres has arrived. I think right now he's by far the better player. I'm not saying no. You look into the Premier League, and I know it's different because we lost the title like weeks and weeks before the end of the season. We lost the title by 10 points, right? We ended the season down 10 points, and we had the same amount of losses as Liverpool. So you figure what? That's 5 ties turning into wins. So again, this math isn't gonna math, but I'm gonna do it anyway. So 5 ties turning into wins. We tie Liverpool for the title. So that's 5 goals. So all we needed from this team is essentially 5 goals, or let's just say 6, and we win the title. 6 goals from this team. You don't think Sesko could have did it? To be fair, I think Kai could have did it. I think Gabriel Jesus could have did it. But no,
and we'll get into that here.
We will.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Sesko is the better striker for the way we play. We are very heavy in possession. Gilchrist is more of a counter attacker. You talk about how you want a guy to score worldies. If you look at Sesko's compilations on that, that's all he does score is worldies. Which to me, I'm a little. I don't want to say I'm worried about that, but like. I don't necessarily want to sign a guy that just scores worldies. I want a guy that can just get the ball in, because there's been a lot of play. There's been a lot of chances for us this season where all we needed was a guy hanging out the back post, or just someone to just have that extra flick, or And
who do you think is better in the box? Who do you think is better in close quarters?
Again, it depends. I think aerial, it's Sesko, but I think every other way is Gilchrist. It's just you. In my opinion, I don't know. You can't say Gilchrist has arrived. He's arrived as far as European competition, like Champions League, fine, maybe. And I guess you would say that could translate to Premier League. It might. I want the younger guy who I think in the grand scheme of things, if we're looking back on, let's say we sign neither player. I think if you look at both of their careers at the end of it, I think Sesko is going to be the better player. So to me, we sign him. We still have Kai Havertz, who we know now, because a reason why I kept kind of going back and forth was because, what are we going to do? But now that I'm kind of thinking, like, now that Arteta is saying Kai will start up front 9 for us, he has plans for Kai to be a striker for us. So if that's the case, then I want the guy that's, I don't want to say a project, because I don't think Sesko's a project. But I think Sesko has a higher ceiling. I think he's going to be better. I don't think he's going to hit the ground running in the Premier League, which is, I think, something that we need to do, which we'll again talk about later. But I just think that Sesko is going to best fit the way we play football. And I think Kai can cover the holes for right now. And I think over the course of both of their careers, I think Sesko is going to be the better player. I think it was Arse blog or Gunner blog, one of them, talked about how he's talked to a couple recruiters, and they say that Sesko is going to be one of the best strikers in the world. Now, do I believe them? I don't know. I don't know who these people are. I can't vouch, but I just think Sesko for us in the long run is going to be the better option. And I get it. We want to win now. We have the team to win now, but I don't know if Gilchrist is going to have that much more of an impact than a Sesko for us this season. And again, and I think what changed my opinion and kind of is the cog that kind of either, whatever you want to say, either steers the wheel or doesn't steer the wheel, is Kai Havertz, because he's got to fit into this team. He's the highest earner at our club, and people want nothing to do with him. People want this. I get it, and I've said earlier, I don't think Kai Havertz is in the starting 11 for us in the Champions League final if we want to pick our best 11. But he's the highest earner in our club. Arteta rates him highly, and I think he's better than what I think the majority of the fan base thinks of him. So he's going to play. So
let me ask you this. So I'm looking at Gilchrist stats: 52 games played.
Oh, here we go.
Well, I'm. So no. It's not.
I love how we're like, we're just give a quick brief who you want.
I told you we could do a whole show on this.
Yeah, that's fair.
67 goal contributions in 52 matches.
I just want a preference, because give your stats. Because I've seen stats, and Gilchrist is like blows Sesko out of the water, and I concede that. I know that.
No. Here's my question.
Okay.
And it's and you have, I mean, look into your crystal ball. Give me the hypothetical. Give me what, because there's no way to accurately predict what it is I'm about to ask you. But in all competitions, 54 goals, 13 assists in all competitions. That's 54 games played. But how do you think those numbers would translate to the Premier League? And like Stan says, he gets away with more. And it's a hard question to answer. It's not a, this was not a, oh, look at Gilchrist's stats compared to said. That's not it. Because I agree that while we don't want to compare league to league, but let's kind of try to, he's not going to get those numbers in the Premier League. That would be unheard of.
I mean, to be fair, like,
Holland doesn't get those numbers in the Premier League.
But again, it's like the argument too. Like you want to compare leagues and be like, "Oh, the league's weaker," but like, yeah, we have the better league, but we have the better team with the better players. So
true.
Odegaard.
I mean, I don't.
He could make Odegaard a better player. He could make Saka a better player. He could be like that. I don't really know how good Sporting was this season. I wasn't following them too much.
Yeah.
But like, I would like to. I mean, I know we're a better team than them, so I would like to think we will make him better as well. So I don't think that's crazy to say. Now, again, me trying to, go along this. I didn't want to talk about this for a half hour, but I'm in the Sesko camp. I plan on my flag. I want Sesko, but I would not be upset. I know we talked about the Romano thing. We're kind of starting to talk with Sesko, so it's looking like we're leaning toward the Sesko path. But if we sign Gyökeres, I'm not going to be upset. I'm not going to be like, because I see people on social media that are going to, oh, I'm done with the project if we sign, whichever other player that they don't want. I think both signings will greatly impact us. I think both signings will definitely put us in the position, to win trophies. I just think, to me, the younger more, I would even say Sesko's more athletic, and I think that's something we need. I think it was, who am I going to give credit for? Yeah, I BX Gunner. I think Sesko could play on the left. Kai could play up top too. I just think, based on the team that we have, I think Sesko is the better option for me.
Sorry, I keep clearing my throat, guys. I know I'm sure that's very annoying.
Oh yeah, dude. I don't know if we talked this, but at one point, we were laughing about it. When me and you were in Chicago for Gooner. You did a diner, and I was like, dude, you need to chill. What are you good? Are you all right? He's like, yeah. I just got a cough, and it's just funny. Every time you do that, I just think of that time in the diner in Chicago. And it's just funny to me.
Oh, I think I think I swallowed wrong.
I don't know. You clear your throat a lot. Maybe it's an old man thing. I don't know.
It is an old man thing. It's also the fact that I woke up about an hour before we did this. So I'm not my body is still kind of catching up here. So yeah, we'll get into season review. I got to pull up my notes here so I can see what exactly we're going to talk about. But something that kind of popped into my head last night was, I guess it's not an award, but what I'm very curious as to what you. Well, I know what you're going to say because you told me before we came on. I forgot about it for a minute, but we'll start a little negative. Excuse me. But what was your most disappointing moment of the season? Obviously, not winning a trophy. Obviously, we're all disappointed that we didn't win a trophy. That's not it. If there's one moment where you look and say there's a moment here, that's where I kind of lost a little bit of hope in the season. Do you have a moment like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. We talked about the show, and I wrote some down right away, and I'm gonna stick with that. But like, I thought about it a little more, and I was like, I don't know, some of these red cards that we received this season, I think a lot of them were kind of like almost, kind of like stabs in the side a little bit. They were very disappointing because I think when you analyze them, which I mean, we'll talk about them later, but when you look at them and how they happened, what our players did, and then you look at Van Dijk almost taking Anthony Gordon's head off with his elbow, and not even getting nothing happening at all. It's definitely disheartening. It's definitely disappointing. It's definitely a point where there was a point a few times where I'm like, I just don't think it's going to be in the card for us. Now, am I using that as an excuse? No, but it's just a feeling you get, like when something's not going your way, you're just like, okay, like I kind of want the season done with a little bit. But at the end of the day, my disappointing moment was not signing Ollie Watkins in January. Just reading all the information about how he was offered to us by Villa, We desperately needed a striker. I think, we definitely were still competing for the league, the Champions League. I just don't understand why we didn't take it. He's Premier League proven. He can assist. He can score goals. Now, when you compare him to Gilchrist, you compare him to Sesko, which, if you're talking about you can only pick one of these players to sign, who you picking, like right now? I don't know. Yeah, Watkins might be thrown on that list, but if you're being offered Watkins in January, and the timing with all the injuries that were currently going on, I think it was very disappointing that we didn't take it. I think, what was it, 40 mil? I think it was, or I think we offered 40 mil and they wanted 60. Yeah, again, I think it was a calculated move, I think, on our part, and it obviously didn't work out. But I think it's funny. I think there is a world where we could have signed Watkins in January and still made a play for Sesko and Gilchrist, which is kind of contradictory to what I said earlier. But I think the season plays out differently. And I think if we had signed Watkins in January, at the very least, we are in the Champions League final. And I do think that, again, math is going to math a little bit. I do think from January to May, I think Watkins scores at least 5 or 6 goals. And I think he puts us over the line to win the Premier League. Now, again, a lot of things have to happen. It's not as simple as just scoring 6 goals. But at the minimum, do we think Watkins could do that? Yeah, I definitely think so. That was my disappointing moment. At the moment, but yeah.
The disappointing moment for me, as I look back on everything, and I'm going to take I'm going to take a page out of Stan's book here, because it's not the same thing. But it kind of indicated to me that the league is gone. It was a collection of things kind of leading up to this moment, but it was when I don't even remember. I think it was Trossard who scored it. The phantom foul by Jakob Kivior in Liverpool's box, and I believe it was Trossard who scored the goal, and Anthony Taylor, like 4 days later, waved it off. I obviously exaggerating to prove a point, but it was like it was Gabriel Jesus who scored it. Gabriel Jesus had scored, and Anthony Taylor, like 10 seconds later, is waving it off, saying, no, there's a foul. And Jakob Kivior was the one who was fouled as a Liverpool defender came over his back. And it was the old Harry Kane Ole kind of situation where we've always complained, Harry Kane needs to be, he needs to be booked for these fouls when they're going up when a player goes up in the air for the ball, and he kind of, backs up and kind of hip checks him a little bit. But that wasn't even the case in this moment. But this was in stoppage time at the Emirates, in my opinion, a blatant statement from the PGMOL saying, you're not winning the league this year. We will waive off your goals when given a chance.
It was Havertz, by the way.
Was it I thought.
No, yeah, because I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I had to look it up. It was Havertz.
Okay. So
whatever.
In that moment, I just remember thinking to myself, this is it. They're not going to they're going to do everything they can to screw us over. And that will be another discussion that we get into. Well, let's just segue right into it. Because one of the topics with this that I brought up to you were the red cards or the double yellows, leading to the, producing the red. I mean, this is, I've said it ad nauseum, be it here, be it on Twitter, be it in person at the pub, wherever it might be. This isn't what I witnessed from officiating this year is not incompetence. It cannot be called incompetence anymore. It is. I won't call it match fixing, because that implies they're trying to affect the outcome of the match as much as I think it's fixing, I guess I'll say, prop bets. perhaps, or maybe it is with Michael Oliver. Maybe it is match fixing in favor of Manchester City because he's never shown a Manchester City player a second yellow card nor a straight red. And we all know what's going on with that situation. The Declan Rice sending off by Chris Kavanagh against Brighton. That's never a yellow card, let alone a second. It's not a yellow card. He barely, what we saw over the course of the year, the same infraction from other players in the same game. And he's booting the ball out of the stadium. Declan Rice nudges it with his foot, and that's delaying the restart. I mean, it's not incompetence anymore. It's not guys who don't know how to do their job or just aren't good at their job. That's not what it is. It's corruption, and until the Premier League says, you know what, we're going to hire our own officials, you're going to be an employee of the Premier League, because they're not. I didn't know this until this season. The PGMOL is its own separate entity. The Premier League contracts them to officiate matches. That's weird to me. But anyway, so my disappointing moment, back to that, to kind of bring it full circle, but we'll talk about the red cards and whatnot, is that goal being waved off, because there's just no.
I see about that. It's crazy.
I see no grounds for that goal to be waved off, and that early in the season, it was November. It's like that's after everything that had happened to that point. Chris Kavanagh, Michael Oliver with Manchester City, Chris Kavanagh against Brighton. It's like, nah, this is it. It's gone. And the William Saliba sending off against Bournemouth only confirmed that for me. Stan, the clash of heads is then that was Brighton too.
Oh yeah, what was that? Was that a cup game, or what was that? Or was that the same game? I don't know.
Right? No, what? No, I don't. No, it was at Brighton. That was at Brighton. I think it was a league game at Brighton. I think
it's for me. So for me, that goal, it's tough, because had the ref called a foul when that happened, I wouldn't like it, but I wouldn't be screaming corruption. I wouldn't be screaming this ref's terrible. It's one of those where you're like, really? Because I think you've seen that so many times, and I don't know. Sometimes they call, sometimes they don't. But I think the fact that Kai touched the ball. I just saw the replay. Kai touched the ball, I think two times. I mean, it was in slow mo. So obviously, the goal looked like it took 30 seconds, but the play continued on for a little bit, and the ball went in the back of the net. So I think that was tough. I think it was tough that he had to call it back. Because it almost just felt like he's like, oh, they scored. Oh, I'm gonna call it back. Had we not scored, I don't think I think, and I'm not saying that's what would have happened. I think it's just the feeling I got. It's like if you thought it was a foul, just blow the whistle right away. Play should not have continued, but play continued. I think that was what was tough for me for that, and you look at the. And again, I guess we're kind of talking with the red cards already, because I was going to quickly touch on the Leo second yellow against City. It just just felt like the ref wanted to get involved. That was Oliver, right? It just felt like he wanted to get involved and he wanted to do something about it. We were up, and in the whole second half, we were down to 10 men, and we were just trying to hold on, to the 3 points, and we didn't, and we ended up sharing the points. It just, again, I guess it mirrors the Liverpool game. The fact that we were in a good spot, we had an advantage, and the ref's like, no, I want to stick my nose into this business, and I want to even the playing field a little bit. Even though Arsenal were the better team on the day, I need to kind of. Honestly, both games kind of felt like we were the Man City, we were the Liverpool, in the fact that we had such a lead, and we had such a hold on the Premier League table, and the refs kind of want the rest of the pack to catch up, which wasn't the case. Which obviously wasn't the case. It's it's unfortunate to say the least.
Yeah, I mean it just when the officials become the lead topic of conversation after a match, like who was it that was it I think it might have been the second leg of Inter and Barcelona, and the commentators, I think it was that game. The commentators were talking about the quality of the officiating and how we haven't noticed him. We're not talking about him. And the fact that they felt inclined to make a comment about not talking about the referee. On the one hand, it's like, A, why bring it up at all? But I think it goes to the how often, how much how much we talked about officiating in games this year, and how atrocious it is because they seem to want to make it about them. My buddy here in Pittsburgh, Troy, we talk about just and you'll understand the correlation here in a minute, but I'm not a big NBA guy, and I just I watch NBA games and I see guys, palming the ball, meaning they're holding the ball like it's a tray and then they flip it over to dribble. They're taking 4 steps. There are all kinds of comps out there of LeBron James basically just not dribbling the ball and walking the full length of the court. But my buddy Troy says, I'm not paying $2,000 to sit courtside at an NBA game to watch referees call it travel. It's like, but that's the game. And it's like, so basically say, look, I don't want the referees involved. I want the referee to call the game, is what I want. I want the referee to call the game the way the game should be called. That's what I want. I don't want the referee interjecting himself where he doesn't need to. But the officiating has to get better, And this is, again, I'll just say it's to me, it's corruption. And I just don't really know how else to, to really word it, because it can't be incompetence, because these guys are they continue to be allowed to officiate matches. If they're incompetent, if they can't do their job, we'll get rid of them. So, looking over the list here, I guess the next thing we'll come up to is, well, I'm going to ask you this. Well, okay, so we started off negative with the season review. All of the things that happened to us this season, the red cards, the piss poor officiating.
Can I just say one thing? And because I'm kind of over this red card thing. Moving on. And I think that the most interesting stat, I mean, you could argue. I wrote this. You could argue every red card. You have Miles O'Skelly against West Ham. I thought he was fouled before he fouled him, but whatever. Fine, give them that. Fine. Rice kicked the ball away. Have we seen anyone else no one's got a second yellow for that the rest of the season, or a red card the rest of the season? Crazy. Same with Leo. Okay, fine. Marino, second yellow. I thought he was fouled twice before, but again, that's fine. Second yellow, that he should have gotten it. That's okay. Then Saliba, Bournemouth. He was the guy. Evan Nielsen was offsides. I know that's 3-point sniper's guy. He was offsides. So what are we talking about here? But anyways, we were 17th in yellows as getting yellows. We were the 17th team. Teams that got less yellows than us: 18th, Liverpool. Interesting. Okay. 19th, Brentford. Whatever. 20th, Man City. Not surprised. But we were first in reds. So I think it's kind of crazy how we got 6 red cards, or I guess 6 sendings. I don't know if a red card, 6 sending offs in a season, and yet we averaged we didn't even average 2 yellow cards in a game. So I think that for me is crazy. 17th in yellows and then first in reds. That's all that needs to be said.
The thing that is amazing to me is when we consider all of the injuries, all of the officiating, all of the injuries. Martin Odegaard misses 2 months. Bukayo Saka misses 3. Kai Havertz misses 3. Gabriel Magalhaes misses the rest of the season. We're talking probably 3 months there. Gabby Jesus misses half the season. Urian Timber, Ben White are out multiple weeks at a time. Calafiore is out months at a time. I mean, Ben White was out 4 months. We didn't see him for 4 months. The forgotten man in all of that is, by and large, I think a lot of people agree with this, the best 1v1 defender of the team, Takahiro Tomiyasu. No, I mean, we've kind of forgotten that he's even part of the team. And through all of it, finished second. We finished second. We finished in the semifinal of the Champions League. And imagine all of these people talking about he didn't, no trophies. Even Henri came out and said he's got to win. Disappointed he hasn't. We're all disappointed that he hasn't won trophies. But you put all of this into context, and all of these people, Arteta hasn't won, so he's got to go. There's no context to this. You're not watching the journey. You're looking at the end result. You're simply looking at the end at the final table, saying, well, Arsenal didn't win. Oh, okay, well, sack the manager. There's no context to that. All of these things, and we still finished second. We still finished second.
They made a starting 11. Well, I guess 10 because of the goalie. But I mean, Neto barely played, so I guess you could put Neto in goal. But they made a starting 11 of players who have missed 7 or more games, which I think is crazy that we could do that. And I'm gonna give the list. So you have White. I guess White would play right back, and then you have Tomiyasu, Gabby, center backs, and you have Calafiore left back. I mean, of those 4, you could pick any 2 to play.
Right, they're all interchangeable.
You have midfield of Odegaard, Mikel Merino, and I think you could put Zinchenko there because I think Zinchenko has played midfield for us the last half of the season.
Yeah.
And then you have Saka, Kai Havertz, Gabriel Jesus. When you look at that team, I think that team alone can challenge for the Premier League. I think that team alone can make a very, very deep run into the Champions League. And we were without them for 7 or more Premier League games. I mean, it's just crazy. You know what, Stan? To Stan's comment real quick, I thought about this with Tomiyasu potentially died months ago. This could be, I don't know, Stan, you might have to look into it. I mean, she's Canadian, so you might have heard of this. But the whole Avril Lavigne conspiracy theory that she died years ago, and it's like really? I'm surprised you don't know because you're a big conspiracy guy. I'm surprised you haven't heard this.
What?
Avril Lavigne died like years ago, and there's like a clone of her that's posing as her. And look into it.
I've never heard that.
Yeah, it's a thing. I guess Tomiyasu is the Avril Lavigne of Premier League football. But
I mean, as long as the clone can sing the hey you I don't like your boy.
Probably.
I love that song. I don't care what anybody says.
But yeah, no. So, but because there are pictures of Tomiyasu with there's a team that came to England. No, I don't know. But there's pictures of him. Don't know if it's him, though. Could be a clone. We don't know. Can't be confirmed.
To be confirmed. Can confirm. No, I don't know. Yeah, it's just I look at all of those things. I look at, like, to me, you've heard me say this before, like the no plan B in attack. Like if what we want to do doesn't work, there's no okay, what all right, you want to argue with me. I can see that look on your face.
Oh, what gave away my look or me rubbing my hands?
Yeah, right. You're
which
mad
one?
You're mad scientist hand rub.
I don't want to argue with you.
Okay. I mean, all right, convince me. Bring me over to your side on the. Okay, we have the way we want to play, which is possession based, and we want to attack from out wide. So many times this year, I can recall being at the bar where we watch games here in Pittsburgh. Shout out Cork Harbor Pub in Lawrenceville. I remember watching and like looking around at people, and somebody that I've struck up a conversation with about tactics or whatever, and just being like, but there's no one in the middle. Look, we're attacking from out wide. We want Saka to do it all on his own, and the only thing he's going to do is cut in on his left. If he can beat the defender running down to the goal line and then cut in and maybe leave, lay one off for a late charging strike, sure. But 90% of the time, what I see is this attack from the wings and no one in the middle, because we've got the overlapping fullback with Ben White, or inverting with Urian Timber, whatever the case may be. And Martin Odegaard, when healthy, and they're doing their thing over there on the right-hand side. Gabby Martinelli over on the left. What's he doing? Oh, he's blowing past people down the left wing. And then he stops and he turns around and he's like, where is everybody? Where are you? What are we doing? I've run all this way. You guys are just back there like, hey, we'll see you later. That's what I see. And then the random counterattack that we have. The random, maybe once a game counterattack that we have. That's not a tactic. That's common sense. The way that we counter is not a tactic. There are teams that play counterattacking football. That's what they do. You look at a team. I mean, you look at the relegated teams, and those teams are typically going to be the guys, the teams, the clubs that want to play that way, because they just can't hang possession-wise with us, with Liverpool, City, So they have to play counterattacking. Our counterattacks are once or twice a game out of opportunity. We're an opportunistic counterattacking team. That's not how we want to play. So off to you, sir. Changed my mind.
No, I think it's a lot more complicated than not having a plan B, because if at surface level, I think we do have a plan B. I
All
mean,
right,
I
hang
guess.
on. Wait. All right. So what is the plan B?
Well, no, it's not. I can't just tell you what the plan B is. I mean, you look at.
Is this like a Christmas gift? Do I have to unwrap it?
No, yeah.
Stan already called me Santa Claus earlier.
I don't want you to answer this question, and
okay,
chat. I'm sure there are players. I could think of one or two right now, but I want, just again, this is rhetorical. How many players in our squad play just one position? How many players in our squad I could count, because it's funny. I started writing down how many players in our squad play multiple positions, and I was like, I should just be writing how many players don't play multiple positions. But yeah, I mean, I think we're very fluid. Flowing football. Now, does it work all the time? No. I think we slow up when we get to the final third, which I don't like and I don't agree with. But again, I think that goes kind of to what you're saying, and I'm kind of agreeing with you. I think we have no presence in the middle of the pitch. Now, I think that's more of a lack of personnel. I don't think that's a plan. I think we just don't have that player. I think we go to our strengths, which is Bukayo Saka, who's on the right. We overload the right-hand side. And this season he wasn't fit for every game, so we did on the left-hand side, which, I mean, I guess if you want me to be as cut and dry as possible, I think that's our plan B. I don't like it. I don't think it works. And that's why Martinelli got exposed, and why so many people hate Martinelli now, because he's too predictable and things didn't work out, because we did that. We tried the plan B of overloading the left-hand side. It doesn't work. Trossard, I don't, definitely had a drop off this season. I think Marino looked kind of lost a little bit. Again, Marino, another person who is maybe a plan C. He scored a couple of important goals for us and kind of kept us in the title race when he was not bought to play 9 for us. So you could count, you can consider that as plan B. I mean, I don't think, how do I explain this? I don't think, to say like, what's our plan B? I don't think Arteta has like a whiteboard and says, okay, guys, if plan A doesn't work, this is plan B. I just think that we tactically just move around the pitch in such a very complex and weird way. And multiple players have came out this season and say Arsenal are the hardest team to play, because they're moving. They're like a jigsaw puzzle. They're constantly moving around, filling spaces. They create gaps and then they close them down. I forget who, someone said it in a podcast. One of the defenders, I think on Villa, and I think one of the midfielders, defenders of Everton, said that we are the hardest team to prepare for. So, and I don't think that's because we don't have a plan B, but again, I think where we kind of can come to a little bit of agreement is, I think we're very slow, and I think again that comes down to us just being terrible. We are an awful team when it comes to finishing, because again, it kind of goes back to we've the age-old discussion that we've kind of talked about and how Arteta built his team. We don't have a 50 goals, a 50, someone's going to score 50 goals or however high you want to go.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to score like 10, 15, 20 goals, whatever. And obviously people took a dip. We have had a lot of injuries, so that hasn't happened. So when we don't have that finishing, we don't have that, we don't have that Erling Haaland. Team defense is kind of just like, okay, there's certain teams that just kind of open the Red Sea and give us the middle. We just don't take it because it's just not what we do. And this isn't me. I mean, I guess I am kind of defending pretty hard, but I don't like when people say there's no plan B. I think we do have a plan B. I just think our finishing is just so poor and it's just so bad that like people just chalk it up to like, oh, all right, there's no plan B. Well, no, we tried multiple things. Like even again, I know this is the last game of the season, but this is kind of fresh in people's minds. Kieran Tierney, and again, shout out Kieran Tierney, very upset he's leaving, but whatever. He played right back, he played left back, he played center back. I think he started at center back. Played center back. He scored the goal from right wing. He played left wing. He was everywhere. And then people want to say like, oh, he doesn't fit Arteta's system. He can't adapt, and all he knows how to do is play traditional left back. Well, that argument is wrong. The argument is wrong just based on this last game of the season. Now I don't know. I don't know if Arteta just said, "Hey, do whatever you want. Like this is your last game." Kind of, and we were playing Southampton, a team who barely escaped the record of having the least amount of points occurred in a Premier League season. But I think I think not having a plan B is kind of. And I know, I'm not like, I don't mean this in a demeaning way, but I think it's kind of just it's a stupid excuse. It's not, I think it's more than just not having a plan B. But I think at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, I think it's just, we have no finishing. So I don't care if we can have plan A to Z. If we can't put the ball in the back of the net, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what our plan H is. It doesn't matter what our plan, X is. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, I genuinely think we do need someone to, maybe not for 90 minutes, but to have that focal point. And Kai has been that guy for us, injured, but he kind of that guy, but I think we could do better. That's why I think bringing in a 9, bringing in a Sesko, bringing in a Gilchrist, I think it's huge for this team. And I think that'll kind of, worry defenses a little bit because, I think it's easier for defenses it's easier defenses to kind of like, cut the supply line off, cut Saka out. And what do? We can't do anything. We try with Martinelli, doesn't work. But I think when you have a killer in the middle of the pitch, I think it's gonna open a lot.
It opens up. That's exactly what it is. It's when you have that one, when you only have that one brilliant player that you rely on to score goals, and you're like, okay, he's the focal point. He's the guy that we're going to rely on to lead the way in goal scoring. You don't have anybody
real quick.
else that's pick up. Go ahead.
I also think sorry, I didn't cut you off. Just really quick. Fine. I think the thing that also kind of fucks us is our best player is on the right wing, and then our most creative player and probably our best, I would say, attacker that doesn't score goals, he plays like a right 8.
Yeah.
So it's like
everything's over there. Everything's on the right side.
If Odegaard played left 8, I think we're probably singing a different tune. But Odegaard just loves. He's always been like that. Even before he joined Arsenal, he's always kind of like leaned toward the right and always kind of like hung on the right. So it's like you're kind of like, okay, you have our best creator and probably our best goal scorer. You're gonna obviously lean into that. So like, I get it, but go
ahead.
No, I was gonna say, and that's why and that's why and people have said this obviously because everyone's kind of over Martinelli, but we need a change of something in the left wing, and because I know we're getting a 9. So
the rumor is that we are looking at wingers. Yeah. I think we need to bring in somebody. I hate to say
we need a fresh attack. Our attack just isn't it, and again I think it's for me kind of finishing. I'm going to repeat myself, but to me finishing up about the plan B, I don't think it's not. I just don't think anything. We just can't put the ball in the back of the net. I think it's just, that's like a simple way to put it. I do think we have a plan B. I think we have a lot of plans.
Well,
As
the plan B to me, what I see with the plan B, if I can interrupt you, is
yeah, go for it.
we
Kind of
we
dumb.
want to what I guess what my question, if I could put Arteta in a room, give him some truth serum and just be like, look, I just tell me, but it goes nowhere. I want to understand what it is in your head. So when I say it's very simplistic, and I may get laughed at for this, but what is the point of the possession based football? What are you hoping to accomplish with it? Because possessing the ball is great. And I see people, oh, look at the possession numbers, look at the possession numbers. Like, but that doesn't score goals. I don't give a shit. I've said this to you before. I don't care. We could have 15% possession, but in that 15%, if we can score 3 goals because we are a dynamite counterattacking team, cool, I'll take that. That's fine by me. If we can defend our asses off, concede 80 to 85% possession, but capitalize on the 15% that we might get, awesome. I don't care. That's great. But we want to possess the ball. And in possessing the ball, theoretically, I'm assuming that that's a defensive tactic. If we have the ball, the other team doesn't have it, they can't score.
That's why, yeah. You asked that question, and my answer is simple. Like, we want to play
Right.
possession
So,
heavy
okay,
because
but
we're going to have more chances, and they're not. And
well,
again, I agree. I don't think.
But do we have more chances? Is my question. Because if
Yeah,
we can't break down
most
that
games we
low
do.
block,
If you look at the
we have more.
XG,
Okay.
how many games did we lose the XG battle? I don't think really any.
Well,
And again, I don't mean that to say,
I know.
oh, because XG doesn't mean shit either. I agree with you. Possession
Yeah,
doesn't mean
I
shit.
know.
XG at the end of the day does not mean shit. But like, the reason why you have possession is to have more chances, and they don't have more
Sure. Okay.
chances.
Yeah.
And it sounds like stupid, but I mean, that's
No,
probably what he would
no.
say to
It's
you.
not. I mean, and that's common sense. That's common sense too.
Again,
But
it goes back to
but you
we can't
have
finish.
to.
We can't finish
You
anything.
have to get the
So
chances off.
doesn't matter.
I guess maybe what
Yeah,
I'm looking at is more not chances. I guess maybe
we don't shoot enough. I agree.
I'm thinking maybe more shots on goal, on target, because again, we take a touch, then we take another touch, then we take another touch, then we shoot, and oh, there are 3 guys right in front of you, and you just shot the ball into a wall of calves, into a wall of shins. Sorry.
It's crazy because, like I said,
You know,
I think we win. I'm very curious, actually.
I would say that by and
what the
large, we
stat is.
probably, yeah,
I could
I
probably
would love to
count
know
on.
what the
I would think I could probably count on one hand. I don't know the games, but I could probably count on one
the
hand
number of times
how
we
many
didn't
times
win.
we've lost the XG battle.
Yeah.
But
I will
again,
say this with XG,
and that goes to your point.
I kind of
It should be more because I agree we don't shoot enough. Odegaard, it just doesn't. And then, what do you know? Last game of the season,
and what
he
what's he do?
shoots,
You
he scores the game-winning goal. Like, it's
cannot
just
imagine.
crazy.
I easily half a
Crazy.
dozen people in the pub on Sunday said that.
Yeah, it's
Easily,
just the
easily.
amount. And
That's crazy. Like,
it's
oh,
tough
look, gee, look, you shot. Look what happened.
Yeah, I do think it's tough. I think he's struggled this season. There's no
Definitely,
doubt
for
about
sure.
it.
Yeah.
I personally, I think he's not fully fit. I think that ankle injury, think he came back too soon. But I think that might have changed his gameplay a little bit. I think that changes how you play. And yeah, you have an ankle injury, you're probably not going to shoot as much. Like, so I get that. But I think it's just crazy how we dominate the XG, and like, there's still like, you could watch any game of ours this season, and there was multiple times where you could be like, should have shot there, should have shot there, could have shot there, could have shot there. So yeah, it's definitely like, yeah, it's very frustrating.
Well, and I it's like that one time, right? Well, what I always call it a one timer because the hockey thing. First time. It's like take that first time. Even if you miss, take it first time. Because who knows? You get a deflection. It goes out for a corner. Goalkeeper makes a save. Goes out for a corner. If he sends it over the bar or sends it wide, it goes out of play. It goes for a corner, whatever. But shoot more. Take more touches first time, or take more shots first time. just real quick back to the plan B thing. If there is a plan B, in my opinion, it is okay. We're not breaking defenses down. We're not breaking this defense down to get shots off. So we're just going to hoof the ball in. We're just going to cross the ball into the box, and we're going to hope. And or we're going to play for a corner and hope that our set pieces, come through. Which, hey,
you know who'd be good with that? Sesko.
He's
Just
tall.
saying.
He's tall. There are a few things that just cannot be taught in the world of sports. Speed and height are two of them.
Which is again two things we better address. I mean, I wouldn't be again. I still say I would not be upset with Gilchrist, but I hope some height would be great. But also, I would love some speed. We talk about signing a left winger. Like I think we need someone with pace. That's why I really like Giddens from Dortmund. He's like
oh my god! If we got Giddens from,
he's my lead guy.
Get out of my head.
Nico would be nice, but like I don't know.
My only
Call
issue
me
with
crazy.
Nico,
I'm not a big Rodrigo guy. And I texted Mikey here his little inside baseball, whatever the fuck they say. I told him I don't know too much about Rodrigo. I really don't. I know he's a good player, but how does he fit? And I've seen comps and I've seen shit of him. He's great. He's phenomenal. Don't get me wrong. But I don't know.
Rodrigo
when I think
would
about
be
left
to me,
wing, I want speed. I don't know what it is. I just want speed.
Here is what Rodrigo would be to me. And this is my opinion. This is what I think he would be. Not necessarily cover in the traditional way that people think of cover for a player, but cover for Saka. But one of the things, it finally happened. We ran the tires off of Bukayo Saka to the tune of a 3-month-long injury. If we have a player that can step in, and I don't think he's as good as Saka, but he's close. He's on that level. He is a very, very, very good player.
Oh, yeah.
If he's on that level, then the drop-off, because we've always talked about the drop-off. We need you said last year and the year before, I'm going to quote you raise the floor. Right? Raise the floor. So if the ceiling is here with talent and the floor is here, raise the floor. So that these, we don't want to even them out per se, but bring this closer. Bring these two things closer without bringing this down. So we want to maintain the top level of talent that we have, but we want to bring this level up. And we've done that. That's not to say that we haven't, because I fully believe that we have. But Rodrigo does that. I would be thrilled at bringing him in. And look, the fact is, and we've said this before, you agree with, competition is good. It makes everybody better. When you have a player, I mean, not that David Raya put a foot wrong or a hand wrong at all this year. But
oh no, where are you going with this?
He knows his starting job is not in jeopardy. We talked about this a couple of years ago, I believe, with Ramsdale. He knows his starting job isn't. Neto is. He's on loan for frig's sake. He's not going to lose his starting job to a guy to a 36-year-old on loan. That's not happening. And he's not losing his starting job to an 18-year-old, Tommy Setford.
Yeah. And
the only guy that he could have probably possibly lost his job to, that has a job with this club, is Carl Hein. We sent him out on loan for a year. So, I'm not cutting David Raya off the knees. That's not at all what I'm doing. I'm simply saying, what was his motivation to be the best version of himself that he could possibly be? Because there's nothing in sports like knowing that the guy behind you is breathing down your neck. And if you put a foot wrong, you might be yanked. That drives you to get better. Every player wants to win. And the drive is, I want to win. I want to win. I want to win. And that's healthy motivation. But losing your job is pretty healthy motivation in and of itself. So bringing in a Rodrigo, Bulgarian Gooner, I don't hate this at all. I would not spend $50 million on Brian Mbeumo. I like Brian Mbeumo, but I would not spend $50 million on
He's
him.
on my list too. I would like him.
I would take him in a heartbeat. I wouldn't spend $50 million on him because I also don't like the idea of spending that kind of money on a guy that's going to sit on the bench.
I think Mbeumo's the kind of player I need to see like what else. Like he's not the first signing we're gonna make.
I'd take Brian Mbeumo on deadline day for $30 million, 35. I'd go 35.
Ooh, no, we'd probably spend a little more than that. If we signed him, I'm saying. I don't think
it probably would take that. I'm saying for me, I'd probably go to 35. And it would be, and I would hope that with him, real quick, I don't want to spend too much time on Brian Mbeumo. That would be, to me, that would be a luxury signing on deadline day. I've got the money. I'm going to go get that. Let me go see if I can get this done. But if I don't, I'm not going to go to an uncomfortable number for a player that I don't necessarily think I need. If there's no cover for Bukayo Saka, if we're looking at the wings and we don't upgrade on Martinelli, and I think we need to. Real quick, let me circle back to Martinelli real quick. My problem with Martinelli is he thinks too much. I need him to put his head down and go. Stop thinking. I need you to just go. I need you to let instinct take over. Let that Brazilian instinct. No, don't let the Brazilian instinct take over because I think that's the problem. Don't worry about your feet. I don't care how educated your feet are. You have that speed and that pace to get down the wing, get a shot on. You get the ball on your foot, man. Go. Don't turn around looking for the trailer. Just go. Make something happen. And what happens with him is inevitably he dribbles himself into trouble. And I think one of the things that he doesn't understand is those white lines that you have to play between, they're extra defenders. You can't go across them and you dribble yourself into a corner or into a wall and now you can't go anywhere. Well, what'd you do? Dribbled yourself into another defender. But
what I will say though quickly on Mbeumo, he's valued at $50 million on transfer market. I don't know how people take it with that.
I take transfer market with a pinch of salt. But not far off. I don't think
it's all subjective, right? So you take Brian Mbeumo out of Brentford, it's going to take a lot of money.
True. Well,
I honestly, going back to Bulgarian Gunner's comment, I think if we don't sign a left winger and he's available for $50 million on deadline day, I think I do it. I think he's that good of a player. He's their best player. You need to think of it that way too. You take your the best player out of a team, you have to pay for him. Whereas I get what you're saying. Like, oh, you think he's gonna like be potentially on the bench. He may not start game again, but the thing is, again, like these players, and I was talking to one of my friends about this the other day. You're Calvin Phillips, you're Jack Grealish's, and then it led to us kind of talking about like Cole Palmer, Phil Foden, I sort of kind of related the two, but some players are just not good in bigger ponds. Like they excel in the small ponds and they can't handle it. Jack Grealish, Calvin Phillips, because he couldn't handle the big pond. So I don't know if necessarily Brian Mbeumo could, but he could. But like he's also. But then it's like on the other side of the fence.
Well, but
you're putting him on a better team, so therefore he should be better. I know. Again, it's not always. They don't obviously. Example Grealish and Phillips. It doesn't necessarily translate that way. But yeah, I think he's a great player, and I think 50 million deadline day. We don't have a left winger. I do think Brentford. Honestly, I could see Brentford demanding more, and I think we could potentially settle for 50 million. And again, I think it's just these days. I think players just go for more and more. And again, to kind of.
There's more and more money.
Yeah, and to kind of finish my thoughts
there's more money to spend for these teams.
To finish my thoughts about Rodrigo, which I kind of wanted to say.
Sorry,
I
stepped on your toes.
It's fine. I like the player. I think he's a phenomenal player. I think he could definitely start for us. I want to play with speed, but also I think out of all the left wingers that we're linked with and all the left wingers that could potentially make an impact at Arsenal, he's the most expensive, and therefore he doesn't have the speed as some of the players that we're linked with, but he's also the most expensive. And as much as I want a left wing replacement, and I think we need a left winger that could start for Arsenal, because I don't think that left winger is in the club right now to start and win trophies. I don't know if paying that much again, but again, it's all subjective. If we do all of our signings and we made a lot of deals, we sign, we sell a few players for a big chunk of money, and we have that money, sure, we'll throw it at Rodrigo. But I'm not prioritizing, spending. I don't even know who he's quoted at, but I think he's just too much money to really at this point in our transfer window be concerned with.
The thing for me with Embuemo, Rodrigo, even I think with Rodrigo it would be okay. We feel, hopefully this would be the case, that we feel comfortable enough to bring him in or start him in a match against, going to, I don't care how bad United were this year. You go to Old Trafford, you hold your breath a little bit, right? Your butthole puckers up a little bit, no matter how bad that. Look, it's the same thing. You go on the road to anybody in the Premier League at this point, and you hold your breath a little bit. Period. You just do. There are certain places that you go that you're going to hold your breath a little tighter, and that no matter how bad they are, that's a place that even next year we look at them and we say they're still dog shit. But when we go to Old Trafford, it's going to be, but it's still Old Trafford, and so that's a situation where if you just played Bukayo Saka in 3 straight matches, let's just say he started and played 70 minutes, 75 minutes in 3 straight matches, one of them on the road in a 12-day stretch, 10-day stretch. You say, I got to get him a break. You don't hesitate to throw Rodrigo in there on the left wing at a place like Old Trafford because, again, the drop-off in talent is not that great, hopefully. The performance that you're going to get is still the same on an even level with the performance that you would get from Bukayo Saka. That's the whole point of making these moves. Bryan Mbeumo would be a guy, for me, that would be a cup starter. In the early parts of the League Cup and the FA Cup. Maybe.
Do you think he's better than Martinelli?
I think Mbeumo is probably a better finisher than Martinelli. I think Martinelli is faster, and I think Martinelli's a better dribbler. I think Martinelli is better with the ball at his feet in open spaces. But I think Mbeumo with the ball at his foot in a tighter space without a pasture in front of him to run into, I think Mbeumo is the better player. I think he's the better finisher.
Go. Finish.
Well, I mean, and so the point is the rotation thing is what I'm getting at. And this was another thing that I had thought of last night that I didn't share with you is the rotation that we need to see from Arteta. The evolution of the manager has to continue. And he still is not great at rotation. We don't need to play the wheels off these guys in a game against Preston North End in the League Cup in at the end of November. That doesn't need to happen. We should have a bench that can go to, Sheffield Wednesday and bury them. That's the bring these levels closer without sacrificing this. And so the players that are not you have your starting 11, you have your best 11. That's the team that you're going to line up against. Liverpool at Anfield, City at the Etihad, preferably United at Old Trafford, both times out against Spurs in a Champions League final. That's your best 11. Now, obviously more often than that, but your best 11 are going to play the biggest games. They're going to play the hardest games because they're your best 11. But the next guys up can slot right in and you're not dropping levels. That's kind of the point. I would like to have, again, Rodrigo and Mbeumo. I think Rodrigo's a better player than Mbeumo, but I would take Bryan Mbeumo in a heartbeat. But it all just goes back to rotation. Yeah. It all goes back to rotation, and that's the thing that Arteta has to get better at. Bukayo Saka has no need. If we are doing the things in the league that we should be doing, that we want to be doing, Bukayo Saka doesn't have to play against Sunderland. He doesn't have to start that game. He can be on the bench. You can bring in your second choice right winger to play against Sunderland, to play against, I don't necessarily want to say Palace. They were the first team that popped into my head. But, the 3 newly promoted teams. He doesn't have to play those. He doesn't have to start all those games. Pick and choose your spots within a season where you can say, here's an opportunity for me to give a guy a break. You've got to pick and choose those moments. So that's the biggest thing for Arteta, for me. So I don't know if you want to piggyback on that or.
No, I mean, I agree with everything you're saying. I think the left, again, it goes back. I think the left wing position that we're going to buy is just it's an interesting one. I think to me, I think it's got the most debate behind it. I think with striker, you see Sesko or Gilchrist. I think with the left wing, there's so many different opportunities. There's so many different players. And then real quick to Bulgarian, Gooner made a good point. 50 million is great value from Buemo. The Lap is going to Chelsea for 30 million. It's hard to compare those two because the Lap is coming from an Ipswich team that is relegated. So they're going to take less money.
They're going to take less
this
money.
Brentford team, again, and this is the tricky thing about, I guess, European football or Premier League, however you want to put it. The Brentford team finishes 10th. They may have their eyes set. Like, listen, because they were a great team all year. They were very good. They were very good home.
How far away are we?
From we're close. We're close. Yeah. Why would they want to sell them? Maybe and it comes down to the team. It comes down to their situation. Because yes, I agree. I think on the surface, the Lap for 30, I think, is a deal. I think Mbuemo for 50 is a deal too. But teams are in different financial situations. They're in different just situations in general as a team of how they want to build. Like Brentford probably want to add a few people, not sell them, because they want to maybe make a play for that Europa Conference League or the Europa League because they have different goals than we do. So I think you have to kind of take the other team into account, because if a team is so close they don't want to sell a player, they're going to be like, listen, we don't want to sell him. We're very close to getting European football. So you have to pay a little more than a Delap, who face to face, I think Delap is going to be a fantastic player. For 30 million, it's a steal. I do. But again, if you catch a team in the right situation where they're getting relegated and like any kind of money will do, then you're gonna find your deals. So, yeah, that's really it.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything else really that we need to. I mean, I think everything that I sent to you, I think we've pretty much covered it. I mean, I guess maybe one, as always, kind of a hot topic, not winning a trophy. Obviously, you're satisfied with the job that Arteta is doing. I don't think I've given off any vibes that I'm not satisfied with the job that Arteta is doing. I think,
satisfied such a weird word. Like I don't like. There was a I don't even know. Someone tweeted it out, or it was something where like it was like a questionnaire, or it was a question of, are you extremely dissatisfied,
like 1 to 5,
very dissatisfied? Yeah. And it's like I don't know, like it's just I don't know, because in some areas I'm like concerned about, especially with Arteta, and there's other scenarios where I'm like, you really expect, like, you're upset we didn't win a trophy when the things that we talked about today, again, with the starting 11 missing 7 or more games, the red cards and the lack of red cards for teams that we were competing with, and you want to take it as excuses. Fuck it, that's fine. The fact that no Arsenal player scored more than 10 goals in our season, it's crazy. And it was Kai. Kai had 9, and he started 21 games for us this season. So it's
21. Is that 21 games total in
Premier League? Premier League.
Premier League games. Okay.
So it's just it's like tough. There's so many like moving things. I mean, and I guess kind of will lead into because I was going to ask this question anyway. I was going to ask you a question and I'll answer it first, I guess. But I was going to ask, give this season a 1 to 10. I mean, I think we're kind of done anyway. But kind of wrap it up. A lot of people, I see a lot of 5s, a lot of 6s, and like, oh, you need the trophy, And whereas yes, the trophy would be nice, but I have another question actually to piggyback off that, but I'll answer this question. And for me, I'll give the season a 7. Because for me, a 6 is like failing. Because failing is like 65%. So to me, a 6 in a way failing. I don't think we failed. I think we had a lot of obstacles in a way. Nothing went our way. Obviously, not winning a trophy is a big deal. But I don't know. And I guess this is kind of my other question, but I'm just going to make a statement and tell me how you feel about it. But I would rather have had the beating of Real Madrid and that tie and to see how far we come and to beat a team of that magnitude than win the Carabao Cup.
Interesting.
I think for me, it's more important to see how far we come in the bigger competitions than or fine. We'll even say this: I'd rather have beaten Real Madrid in the quarterfinals than won the Europa League, like a certain team that plays in our league did. And people are trying to compare seasons. It's just for me. This summer is going to be very interesting. Whether we make the signings we need to make or we don't, it's going to be interesting regardless.
I would give the season an 8.
Oh, wow.
Probably give the season an 8.5.
Wow. I did not expect. Okay.
When you, again, everything in context. When we didn't lose Trossard for 3 months. We didn't lose, we didn't lose Jakob Kivior for 3 months. We lost major, components of this journey. We had a lot of detours in this season. So to look at everything and say, if I would have told you at the beginning of the year, all of these things are going to happen. You're going to lose Bukayo Saka for 3 months. You're going to lose Martin Odegaard for 2 months. You're going to lose Ben White for 4 months. You're going to lose Kai Havertz for 3 months. You're going to lose Gabby Jesus for half the year, 6 months. You're going to lose you're going to lose 1/2 of the best center back pairing in the world for 4 months, 3 months. Jurrien Timber is going to miss multiple games at a time. Calafiori is going to miss multiple games at a time. The marquee signing of last summer, Mikel Merino, isn't going to start the season. He's going to have injury problems throughout the season. And, oh, by the way, he's going to come back healthy at some point and play as a number 9 and score. I tell you all of these things, and I say, now you tell me, what are you going to be happy with? Now, I'm not necessarily asking you to answer that question. This is just I want everybody to think about this. What would you be happy with? And if I then told you, we'll finish 9 points off the pace, we will lose out on the league to Liverpool, and then I tell you everything that happens, and how would you look at that season? That's how I would look at it. 8.5. We beat Real Madrid over 2 legs, but went to what many would say is the hardest place in the world to go and play a game. Beat them. Didn't hang on. Beat them. Now, whether you agree that it's the hardest stadium to play in the world, that's not.
It's one of.
One of.
We can agree it's one of.
And they are the biggest club in the world, without a doubt. They have probably the single greatest collection of talent in the world. I at least, and again, one of. You're not going to beat them just once at home. You're going to beat them in both legs. You're going to beat them in both games, home and away. You're going to win both games. You're not going to win the top. You're going to win both games. it's all of the injuries, all of the red cards, and the subsequent suspensions. All of it. All of the piss poor refereeing decisions. The waving off of the Havertz goal against Liverpool at home. Because boy, that gives us an extra 2 points, and it knocks a point from them. So just kind of bring that gap a little closer. It's an 8.5 for me. Because I think the way that everybody stepped up and the way that we played, it's easily an 8. I could move it up to an 8.5 for me. It's an incredible job by everyone. As disappointed as much as I criticize Arteta for the no plan B, for the lack of the seemingly inability to make a substitute on 60 or 65 minutes, waiting until the 75th minute. It's like, what's the point now? Game is in hand at 3-0, 4-0, 60 minutes. Get some of these guys off, man. They've got enough tread on the tires. Get them off. All of those things, but all of that nonsense that I talk, it's an 8 to an 8.5. I'm giving it an 8.5. I'm going to 8.5. It's an 8.5 for me.
That's okay. I would be there with you. My only issue, and William Holmes brought it up in the chat, is there were a few games that, like, you take injuries out of it.
Sure.
There's games that we dropped that we should not. Talk about Brentford. We talk about away at Everton. Another Brentford game was in between the two Madrid ties. But again, like, if you want to be that team that could compete in both, you still need to get 3 points. I Brentford away from home, we should beat. Tying a really crappy Man U team. And I know Man U, they always show up against us. But still, losing to West Ham when we battered them earlier in the season, or was that last season? No, we battered them this season. There's just like you just look at like our losses and our draws that we accrued. And it's just like some of the games you go, you look at the red cards, and you look at the reffing decisions. Yeah, that's very true. But there were some games where we lost that I think a lot of us kind of removed from our brains because we didn't care, because we were like, okay, like the league's done to Liverpool, but we have the Champions League to worry about. Again, get like the Brentford draw, and Everton too. I think we were all in that boat where it's just like, I don't care about the league anymore, but it's still like there are games where if you're improving as a team, you're improving as a squad, you need to get those 3 points. They do matter.
I mean, the only team that is going to look back on the season and say that and not say those things this season, it's Liverpool, because they don't have to look, they don't have to second guess, they don't have to look back. I mean, the hindsight is always 2020. William Holmes gives the season a 4. I don't understand that.
That's
but
fine.
you finished second place. Now, I love this. Then don't watch the games. Just look at the final table and just base everything off. Don't watch any games, because that's what you're doing. You're saying none of what happened until the final whistle of the final match blew. Nothing. None of the rest of it matters. The injuries don't matter. The bullshit red cards don't matter. It does. It has an effect. As much as I want to sit here with the red card and say, play through, fight through, yeah, that's all well and good, but it's a lot easier said than done. Giving them a 4, I'm sorry, I don't think you understand sports. I don't think you understand this sport.
I don't think it's sports. I think it's just
I don't understand how you
don't understand. Maybe I think you don't understand the scale.
It's like reading the back cover of a book and being like, "This book sucked." That's what it is.
I'll give William Holmes a little credit. I think it's more if he doesn't understand the scale, because so you're saying that's like getting a 40 on a test. I don't think we got a 40 on this test. I don't. And let's also add into the fact, which is I think a big deal. You could say what Liverpool's 3 best players are what? Salah, Van Dijk, and probably Alisson. Allison missed a few games for injury, but again, that was whatever. But Van Dijk and Salah didn't miss any games, and Salah had the season of his life, and people were saying like, which by the way, I cashed my plus 1,000 bet that he would win the Golden Boot, but we won't get into that. But yeah, no, I mean, people were like, okay, like Salah is still good, but like, can he keep Liverpool like where they need to be? You know, new manager. People were questioning him. He had his best season of his life, and what is he? 29. Like,
I thought he was like 31.
he's old. I don't know. But all I know is he greatly improved. He had the best season, didn't get hurt. Don't get me wrong, he had a good supporting cast, a lot of good players. He's 32, even worse, he's 32. You know, an offensive attacker past their 30s, you think like, okay, like they could still be good, but they're not going to have literally the season of their life, best player in the Premier League. And that's what he did. He had the best season of his life, followed by Van Dijk, who's always solid. But again, both of those players did not get hurt. They stayed healthy. Right. They didn't miss games. And again, this is, you know, Van Dijk should have been sent off, I don't know, at least that I remember at least 2 or 3 times. He should have gotten straight, not even like second yellow, like straight red cards. That nothing even happened to him too. So I mean, it's a combination of both. I think we caught a couple tough breaks, and I think Liverpool they got I don't want to say they're lucky. They got lucky, but they lucked out on a lot of things. They had a lot of things just go their way. We had things that did not go our way, and sometimes
they will
it's
not
all
have
that happens.
This season next year.
They will
not have this season next year.
And it's crazy because everything that William Holmes is kind of saying, I don't really necessarily agree with what he said about Henry, but like everything he's been saying about our season, I actually agree with, and he's not wrong. But to give us a 4, I think that's just, I don't think it's not knowing ball. I think it's just, I don't think he doesn't know how the number structure works, because a 4 is, even given what you're saying, William, which again I agree with. You can't say we're a 4 unless all you care about is trophies. And that's the case. You want that moment, which everyone wants it. I understand it, but beating Real Madrid was pretty. It was pretty nice. I mean, again, to be fair, when we beat Real Madrid the second leg, I was in the hospital waiting for my kid to be born. So you know, I was obviously a little more excited than the average Arsenal player, but still, it's just, you know, that's, I think, a moment that we can build off of, and I think more is definitely to come.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say this, and then we're done. I fully believe that with a fully healthy squad, a bit of rotation in there to keep players, to not run the tread off the tires of the most important players in the squad, no matter the seemingly never tiring Declan Rice. If we have minimal injuries, guys, instead of missing months at a time, miss 2 games. If it's a instead of Bukayo Saka missing 3 months, he misses 3 games. He misses 3 weeks. Same with Martin Odegaard. Same with all of these guys. We're looking down the table at everybody, and I just, to me, that there's just, we win this thing going away, in my opinion. If the stupid refereeing decisions don't go against us, and I think you have to look at it. You have to look at the context of this. I think this could be a double winning team, if not a treble, as currently constructed. If they stay, obviously, the caveat is if everybody stays mostly healthy. I can understand missing a game or 2 or 3 here and there. Hopefully that happens at the most opportune time of the season. You never want a guy to miss a game, but if he's going to miss a game, miss it against Sunderland. Who Leeds and who else? Burnley. I was like, who are the other 2 teams coming up? You're going to miss a game. Miss it against one of them. and miss it when it's at home for us. So all of the things kind of like Ryan just said with Liverpool, everything went their way this year. There were no obstacles other than the team put in front of them. And even they, in it's not their greatest season ever, but a season in which they greatly overachieved, in my opinion, they didn't really face any obstacles other than just the next week's opponent. That was it. So I look at this team and I just say, man, everybody stays healthy. Boy, oh boy. We're right there. We are. I don't know that we are one player away or two players away. I think we're there.
I think this is me being.
Sorry, I'm getting long-winded here. We got to wrap it up.
No. I just wanted to say this is me being biased, but I think we have. I still think we have the best team in the Premier League.
Yes,
on paper. I think if everyone 100% healthy, I think we're the best team now. Again, it's what you do with it. It's getting lucky, not getting lucky. It's a lot into it. So obviously the game's not. We know this. That's something you said. The game is not played on paper, right. So I get it. But and we will make sense. We will get better. But right now, yeah, I still think we have the better team in Liverpool. Salah played every single Premier League game and scored. What did he score? What did he end up? 29 goals, season of his life.
Yeah.
Just some things just don't
more rotation to help guys stay fresh and hopefully alleviate injuries. Okay, avoid injuries. As far as I keep seeing, sign another player. What if that player comes in and a week into training blows out his knee? Then what? What do you do? That's the thing.
You sign another player.
Yeah, you sign another player, and then he blows out his knee in September. Well, what do you do?
Sign another player.
Oh, you can't because the window's closed. We'll do it anyway. It's like Will Ferrell as Harry.
We'll bring up someone from the. We'll bring up. We'll play Max Dowman at the 9 or whoever,
right.
whatever we fucking need him for.
It's like Will Ferrell as Harry Carey on Saturday Night Live saying he's going to get Albert Einstein on his talk show. What's that? He's dead. What the hell? We'll try to get him anyway. Cubs win. You've got a shout out. Go for it.
Yeah, before we wrap up, I just want to shout out, friends of ours, someone I might be doing shows with, the foreseeable future. I've been on his show before, Mr. Arsenal, Ryan, El Smuggo and Jones. They have a show. Oh, it's called The Cannon and Jonesy. El Smuggo is someone that I'm going to probably be doing some shows with in the future. Maybe you'll see me pop in there every now and then. But definitely check their show out. They're on right after us. I think they're going on in like 10 minutes. So if you still want to, talk about Arsenal and stuff, definitely hit them up. Two knowledgeable guys. And definitely check them out and give them a follow on the Mr. Arsenal Pod channel.
Yeah, good stuff. This felt good. I got to tell you, it's been almost a year. This felt good. This was a bit therapeutic, but always good to talk a little footy. Always good to chat with you, sir. Thank you to everyone who is watching both on YouTube and on X. We've got 114 live viewers right now. That is tremendous. But yeah, so we'll be back in a couple of weeks. We're going to do a season award show. I believe that'll be the two of us, and Jackson 3-point Sniper should be along for that one, if I'm not mistaken. Hopefully he is. And I think we're going to try to get back into the swing of things here. We'll probably have a transfer show coming up. And the window closes, June 10th, I think?
I don't know. It's a good question.
There's two windows. There's a break. It's the Club World Cup or something. There's a break. There are two summer transfer windows. I think this first one closes on June 10th. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's when the first one closes. The second one will reopen maybe at the end of June and go till. Yep. So there we go. June 1st to June 10th. And then I'll assume it opens maybe like July 1st and then goes till September 1st or something. But James, hello, cool James in the house. Thanks for being here, buddy. Always appreciate it. We'll get you on we'll bring you in here sometime in the near immediate future. We'll talk some transfers and have some good footy talk with Elo and Cool James, good friend of the show. But yeah, that's it for now. I think that's all we got. Stay tuned. Follow us on X. I am at the Bearded Gooner. Ryan has his handle right there. You can also follow me on Instagram. Just search Bearded Gooner. Subscribe to the channel if you're on YouTube. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please do so. If you're watching on X, please go over to YouTube. Search Loose Cannons Arsenal. And please, please, please drop a subscribe to the channel. We would love, love, love to keep boosting numbers on the subscriptions. We're over 1,000 and we've stayed there, which is important. But we're over 1,000 subscribers. We'd like to get on the road to 1,500, 2,000, and just see kind of how far we can take this thing. It's always been a big goal of ours to really do this a lot. So that's it for us. Stay tuned to all the usual platforms so you know where we're going to be, when we're going to be there, and you never, ever, ever miss a program. That's all we got for you. It's been good footy talk. We'll see you out there.